I'd like to thank Doomster Entertainment for this free copy of Slay Uncool Monsters given for the purpose of this review. Alright, so how about something a little different? This is an educational game, and while I normally turn up my nose at the sort of thing, I'm willing to give anything a chance to see how it turns out. I kind of wish I didn't, the game is so boring it was practically putting me to sleep, but I'm obviously not the target audience here. If you know what you're getting into and you're willing to have an open mind, then this game's not necessarily bad, but it's definitely not for everyone and it is lacking in a few ways. There's no story here, not that the game needs one. You just choose your adventurer, each with their own unique attributes, and then challenge the different dungeons across a world map. That's the whole game in a nutshell. It's very much you get what you see. The presentation is pretty good across the board, nothing too special, but the pixel art and music are nice, and the different backgrounds and enemies help keep things varied. Regardless of the environment, there's no actual effect on gameplay in this regard, but as far as the visuals go, it is nice enough. The gameplay, as you can see, involves solving math equations from a pool of randomized single-digit numbers. Equation types include addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and there can be as many as 4 variables to fill in per question. Different monsters will have different stats like speed and defense, requiring quicker answers to avoid damage or solving multiple problems to put one down. But in the end, it just boils down to solving a stream of random math questions. Aside from searching for the number you need in the pool, there is a slight puzzle element as well. Depending on the adventurer you play as, you can get damage bonuses for lining up certain numbers or for getting multiple correct answers in a row. You can also prioritize using numbers that give gold or experience bonuses, indicated by the little dot next to the number. Nothing big, but it's a cool element to add just a little bit of depth. The game progresses via a world map, with dungeons of increasing difficulty and various types unlocking the further in you go. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a grinding aspect to the game. The grinding is offset by how good you are at math, which for me means that the game is pretty much impossible, but if you're skilled enough then you shouldn't ever have to grind at all. However, it helps to level up your character, and you'll need money to heal your wounds and unlock new areas. While I'm nowhere near close to knowing what the full map looks like, I can definitely tell that it's way bigger than what I'm willing to put into the game to find out. Unfortunately, there are some annoyances that hamper the experience. You can probably already tell, but looking through the pool of numbers can be a bit of a hassle. For equations with fewer variables, this usually isn't so bad, but the more complex things get, the more possible combinations of answers there can be, which means the numbers you're looking for simply might not be in the pool at all. Then there's the classic annoyance of the screen flashing a red filter when you're low on health. This is both distracting and completely unnecessary, and I'm surprised that there isn't even an option to turn this off. Most egregiously, however, is the simplicity of the equations overall. Even if you set the maximum variables, the division problems never get any longer, so don't expect some long division boss fight, or at least I never bother to get far enough to find out. Multiplication problems don't use higher numbers at greater variables either. They just start incorporating addition and subtraction to fudge the numbers a little bit. Only the purely addition and subtraction equations seem to use the full 4 variables. But I guess you can't ask for too much when the player is only allowed to work with single digits. It just seems like a wasted opportunity. They could have had problems with multiple digits and enter them one number at a time. But keeping everything solely single digits definitely reduces the potential this game could have had. Also, for being sort of an educational game, it doesn't really do a whole lot to teach the player. There is helpful advice with common problems, but it's hidden at the end of the help section and it's not explained in much detail. They don't even include a multiplication table. Of course, anyone can easily find this kind of stuff with outside resources, but it does feel like they didn't really try with this aspect. Maybe it's my fault for thinking that this is supposed to be an educational game, but when it goes this hard into math problems, I have a hard time looking at it otherwise. Finally, there's an endless mode with a focus on different equation types and difficulty and trying to get a high score. But otherwise, it's exactly what it sounds like. That's really about all there is to say. There's not much to this game at all. The only thing that'll keep players invested, for lack of a better word, is the massive amount of grinding. You unlock a higher difficulty world every 50 levels up until the 9th ascension, so you can keep going all the way to level 400 to unlock everything. But what you do from beginning to end is just solving a never-ending stream of math questions. Maybe for younger students, this wouldn't be a terrible idea for the sake of practice while keeping it a little more interesting than simply pencil and paper. But for everyone else though, there's nothing to see here. It's worth noting that it's free to play on Steam, although all the unlockable characters are paid DLC, but I'm sure most people won't really care about this game anyway. Thanks for watching my review on Slay Uncool Monsters. And thanks again to Doomster Entertainment for the review copy. For what it's worth, at least they're filling a really niche genre with this one.